Hello and welcome to video 9. I'm going to start with reviewing what I did last video. Um, I just built these two test functions. The first one is make test ticks, and this just makes a loop, and inside the loop it just builds a bunch of tick objects, and then another function called make poll results. This should be called make test poll results. So I'm going to change the name of that. But what it does is it iterates over each of the ticks that we just created, and then it loops over each of the graph sets that we pass in, and we just create this poll result that's just random. It's just a random value. And the purpose of this is just to have something in the database that we can use to make graphs with. And then also I built these down here, these three view functions. And in this video, I'm going to write code for these. I'm also going to create a URLs file that actually plugs these into the web, so I can go to the browser and I can actually open up these functions or these view functions through the web browser. I was gonna yeah, I didn't make a video yesterday because I was researching matplotlib, and so there's this it's called matplotlib, which is a Python library for making graphs. It's a really good project. I've used it in the past, but I've decided I'm not going to use it for this project. And the reason is because I ran into this issue right here. So I installed it and I tried to do a very basic plot here. And instead of getting an actual plot, it just made a blank screen. And it's supposed to make a graph like this, but instead I just got this blank screen. And I did the Googling and I came across this issue. And this issue was first released, or it was first reported in over a year ago. And if you scroll down, it still hasn't been fixed. And so I've decided I'm just not going to mess with this library. Instead, I'm going to use this other thing. It's called Plotly. And Plotly it works different from matplotlib in the sense that matplotlib is pure Python, and it results in a file, like an image file. But Plotly works differently in that it's all front end, so the graph itself is generated in the browser. And so instead of this show graph, we're just going to have it be so this was going to just return just a PNG image, but I'm going to have this instead just return the raw data. So we're going to call this get graph data, and this will just return a JSON, and then the front end will take that data and then generate the actual graph. So that's a change I'm going to make. So first off, I'm going to build a URLs file. So to do that, we make a we make a file called urls.py, and I'm going to open it up, and then inside here we're going to paste some information. I don't remember the exact syntax, so I'm going to open up another project that I built and just copy in the code. Okay. So we're going to import these view functions into our URLs page. And then we're going to create a URL item for each one of these. So the first one is going to be called list machines. And that would just be like the main URL. So it's going to be blank. And then the next one will be show machine graphs. And then the third one will be this one. And there's one thing that I need to copy over that this one doesn't have, and that is the regular expression syntax, which I can never remember. It's something like $P. This one doesn't have it. Yeah, it's this $P thing. So I'm just going to copy this in. So this URL we're going to have for the show machine graph, we're going to pass in the machine name. And this is going to be slant W plus. So this slant W plus is a regular expression. It just means any letter or number. And then the plus just means any amount, any length that's greater than 0. And so then also this page is the same, except we have a second one. So you have machine name, and then this is going to be graph set name. So the first one doesn't take any arguments. And then the second one takes one argument, which is machine name. And that's what that is. We got to call it name. We'll just leave it machine. These variable names have to match the name that appears here. We're going to call this machine. And then this one, it takes machine and graph set name, which is, again, we just have to call this graph set instead of name. And then we have interval, but we're going to remove this because the actual graph is going to be generated on the server in the browser, and so we're not going to restrict it to an interval, at least not to start with. Maybe later on we'll add that back, but for now I'm just going to take it off. And yeah, so now I need to here's the actual Tutu video Django project, and so in here we need to actually install the URLs. And so the way we do that is down here we're just going to include them. Include tutu.urls. Then that might have crashed. Yeah, I messed up the quotation marks. Somewhere here it is. Yeah, there we go. There it is. Now I go here, I can go refresh this page. So there's no, for this project, this is just a test project, so there's no page defined for just like a blank URL. We just have slant admin and slant tutu. So we're going to go to slant tutu. And so here it's saying it didn't return an HTTP response. So it's trying to call list machines, which is correct. So when it's blank, when it's just tutu/blank, it's calling list machines. And then list machines is not returning anything. And that's the bug, that it didn't return a response object. So I'm going to have it return a response object. say list machine. There, now it just says list machines. So now that's correct. Now we're going to test the second view, which is this one right here, this machine, show machine graphs. So I'm going to do the same thing for this. So we're going to say show machine graphs. And so this is going to take a machine name, so we're just going to say test machine, and there it is, show machine graphs. And then the third view is this get graph data, which takes two arguments, a machine and a graph set name. So I'm just going to say system load, and it should, yeah, so now it's calling this get graph data. Okay, and I'm going to also just say, whoops, get graph data for machine plus graph set. Forgot a plus sign. There it is for test machine and then system load. Now, if you go to the ticks, so we have test machine, and we also have, this is the actual name of my machine. So we're going to just try this instead of test machine. And what it does is it crashes, basically. And the reason why it's doing that is because we have a dash here and a dot character here, and that's not matching any URL because we have slant W is the actual URL, and slash W is not does not include dashes and dots. So we have to modify this this regular expression, and so the way we do that, we just put it around brackets, and we need to go slant dot dash. So that's just saying we're adding a dot, and we have to put a slash in front of it because if we don't put a slash in front of it, it interprets the dot differently. So slash dot just means a literal dot, and then a dash. We can also escape the slash, but if it's at the very end of the bracket, we don't need a slash. So this is the regular expression for a machine. So I'm just going to put this in here as well. And for the graph set, it's always going to be a, you're not going to have dashes and dots in a graph set name because the graph set name comes from the name of this class, and you can't have a dash in the name of a class because it's not valid, or a dot for that matter because it's not valid. So for this, it's just going to be letters and numbers. So now we're going to try it, and there it matches. And we're just going to say, yep, so now it matches the proper name and system load. And if I put a dot or a dash inside this, it should also not match. It's just saying system, and it's not matching what's after it. So, but it doesn't matter because we're not going to have a dash in the graph set name. So now that's done. Do one more thing. I'm going to actually we're going to return a list. So in this function here, we're going to return a list of machines in the database. So to do that, we're going to do a query. We're going to query the tick model. So I'm going to import it. The machine name is stored on the tick model. So machine is right here. So we're just going to construct a query for that. Call this machines equals values, and we'll say machine, and then distinct. Distinct just means that we're going to limit it to just the unique machine names. And then we're going to just put this here. And that might not work, but we'll see. Yeah, this is a query set object, not a list. So I think I can just do this. It's not showing anything. So I'm just going to put this in the command line. And we can see what's happening. Yeah, so it's returning 2 items. This test machine is the first one, and then my actual machine name. So that's correct. But I'm going to do values list. So this is returning like a weird query set response. And if I say values list, it returns it as just a list. So here it's like a list of dictionaries, where it says machine, test machine, and then my MacBook. When I say values list, it just returns a list of, and it has these like 1 item tuples, which is also kind of weird. So there's also this feature we can say flat equals true, and then that just returns an actual flat list, which is what we want. But it's still a query set object, so we have to make it a list. Now it returns an actual list of strings that represents the all of the unique all the unique machine names in this database. So I'm just going to paste this in here. And there it is. These are our 2 machines. And so I can also go into the database, and I can just I'll add another one. I'll just say test machine 2. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of test machines, 1 of these and 1 of these. And so now when I refresh this page, it shows all the unique ones. So these 3. And I guess that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to actually replace this part here with an actual page, like an actual template with HTML in it, and we will display these machines on that page and make them clickable. So when you click on it, it takes you to this page, and then on this page we'll show all of the graph sets. So it'll be like graph sets. This comes from the settings file, but we also want to use this. And then this will get passed onto the page, and then we're going to loop over them and make a link, which will point to this URL. And then we'll build out that page, which will actually, and then the page will actually display the graph, which calls this this endpoint. And yeah, so let's commit this. And that's it. And I'll see you next video.